share, as this title is called, 3 mindset upgrades. And as we were planning this workshop, we were thinking, what are 3 things that we could offer up that we currently use and are always working on, that you could start to do that takes minutes to do, but not weeks to implement. So by the time you finish this, you could go on court tonight or tomorrow and utilize some of these things. And I will say up front, by the end, we just created something inside of our pickleball school called the 21-day mindset reset, which we'll tell you more about later. It does cost money. It's $79. We'll break that down for a couple minutes later on. But without further ado,
where did that even come from? A do. Every time I hear a do, I'm like I want to put my nose up.
It came from Freddie Adu, who was a soccer
obviously
phenom who went to the MLS.
Okay, but before we ado, much ado about nothing. Why is mindset important? Let me ask you guys a question. If you're on Instagram or if you are in the YouTube stream, why do you think strengthening your mindset, your mental toughness, your ability to bounce back from obstacles and adversity, your ability to perform under pressure, like how important is it to you? Why is it important to you? Let's get some answers going in the chat right now. And as they're answering, Kyle, I'd be curious, I mean, you play at the highest level. Where have you seen it important, or how do you feel like you're strong at that, weak at that? What would you say?
I think I'm getting stronger at it the more time I spend on it. A little bit like drilling thirds or drilling your serve. It's kind of, for me, it's hard. This takes more time. It's easier for me to go on court and practice practice those things, but actually training the mind is just a harder thing for me. And so I think it's important. Yeah, it's really important because the players that I'm playing against, the skill across the board is in many ways similar, and so it's the ability to stay disciplined throughout an entire match. It's the ability to follow a game plan for an entire match. It's the ability to bounce back from mistakes throughout an entire match. It's the ability to handle emotions when something doesn't go your way throughout an entire match. And so I do think it's slightly important, or we probably wouldn't be doing this call.
Okay, let me share, and then Zach, chime in here if you have an addition. So, we've all heard this phrase that you don't rise to the level of your skill, you sink to the level of your training. I would amend that, and I've seen this in all sports as well as in pickleball. Like, you don't perform to the level of your skill, you actually sink to the level of your mentality. So we're all trying to find like that perfect golden area where we're challenged but can have success. And so when you're playing against players that are of similar skill to you, the most mentally tough player is going to win. Like when you're not way more talented than your opponent or way less talented, like the more mentally tough player is going to win. I mean, there's a reason why we see Anna Lee down 10-4, and we're like, I think she's going to come back and win. And she usually does, right? It's not just a skill thing, it's a mental thing. And so if all we do is focus on improving our shots or improving our strategy, both of which we focus on in our school, but we actually don't improve our mental toughness, we're always going to underperform our expectations and underperform our skill. And that's what leads to the most frustration. When we leave a tournament or a match and be like, man, under pressure, I didn't play up to my potential. Like, that's one of the most frustrating things. Yeah. And that's not a skill problem, that's a mindset problem.
The only additional thing before we get into the 3, or maybe we go to Zach for a sec, is you sound like you're specifically talking about how you handle those moments while you're in a match. But I think the mindset thing, it goes so many different angles, which is one of the things we're going to do in this 21-day mindset reset, which is starting in July, is it actually leads into number 1. Before I even share this, should we have Zach? You can ask Zach something? Or
there's no need for Zach.
No need to ask Zach.
Okay, Zach.
Thanks for being here, Zach.
Hey, Zach, before you share your thought, like, man, there's so many comments here in the chat about just how important mindset is. We're talking about how helping with consistency. One of our students says it's 84% of the game.
84.
84. That's
I thought it was 83.
Number. Yeah.
84 sounds a little much.
Your mindset allows you to make adjustments. We did a webinar recently with Dane Gingrich, and he shared like his 3 non-negotiables in a partner, which were 1, like you're a competitor, like you can play under pressure. 2, you have fast hands, and 3, you make strategic adjustments. If you don't have a bulletproof mindset, there's no way you can make adjustments in the middle of the match because you're just trying to execute. All right, Zach, what's your thought about mindset?
I mean, those are all great ones, and I think you guys muted yourselves. I can't hear you.
Oh, I did mute myself for feedback. Go ahead, carry on.
I was confused. Now
That's too loud, Zach.
my mindset is thrown off. But
Stay
no,
tough. Stay tough.
I think there's just in pickleball it's hard, right? Like playing and doing well and hitting the shots you want is not easy. So like all the things you can control outside of that is just like low hanging fruit that's going to give you an advantage over your opponents. Like
Yeah.
if you, we've all heard the term like playing down to your opponent, which is a real thing, right? That all that is just a lack of mental preparation or readiness coming into a game, or you've heard about the Cinderella team beating the better team. All that is just like playing free or playing loose or playing confident. Like all those players are the same, like whether they're physically, but from a mental standpoint, it could just
Yeah.
change so much. It's everything. It's
When I
84%.
it's 84%. And when I play Tyler, I don't want to play down to Tyler's level. And so I make sure that I challenge myself to win 11-0. This is Tyler. 11-0, 11-0 is we bet $100 on it. And okay, let's get into it. All right, so we're going to get into the three mindset upgrades. And the way we're going to structure this is we're going to talk a little bit about how you can prepare your mind before you ever go on court. And it can be done in 5 minutes or less. One specific thing while you're on court that will help you overcome obstacles. And then the third one's going to be what can you do after you're done playing. So it'll be a little story arc in that way. And so I'll start with a quick story. 4 days ago, I went to play mixed doubles with some local pros in Phoenix. And prior to the game, I was running a little late in the morning, and I was doing some work. And then I thought we were supposed to be there a different time. And then I showed up, and we just stretched really quick, got into the game. And once we started playing, I played okay, but it wasn't until later that night that I filmed it and I watched some of the games back, that as I was watching myself, I kept asking, why were you making that decision? Why didn't you attack that ball? Usually you would move in to take that one. How did you get beat like that? You never get beat like that. All these things were going through my head. And what I realized was the way that I approached the 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, or even the morning I woke up for that game, was pretty poor. I didn't have any thoughts going into the game. I had no intent going into the game. And so the first upgrade is to have some type of, and I know Zach used to be a yoga teacher, so he's always talking about intent. And I know yogis will always say, set your intention. And that there's so much truth in it to set one intention for what you're trying to accomplish when you actually go on court to play. And I'll take that story even farther to this morning. So after I watched that film, I played another mixed game this morning. So it's a few days later, and it was in my head of how I played in the previous game. And so prior to going, I just spent 5 minutes, and I had a little note card in front of me, and I wrote down two things that I wanted to focus on. One was I wanted to move with purpose, which I did not do at all in the first game. And the second one was I wanted to be more selective in my shot selection. And in that specific game, I was hitting the ball to a location that wasn't going to be good for that specific game based on the players that I knew. And I knew the players I was playing with this morning, and I just wrote down some of the shot selection that I wanted to have. Those two specific things that took 30 seconds to write down, 5 minutes to kind of process and think through on my drive in, changed how I played mixed doubles this morning. And I played a lot better, all because I spent 5 minutes, not even, thinking about what my intent would be for the session.
Yeah. So, like, let me ask this question. Please comment either on Instagram or in the YouTube chat. The last time you played, what was your intent? And please be honest. If it was like I didn't have one, write that as well. That's good information for us. What was your intent the last time you played? Go ahead and jot it down. Zach, all the players that you coach, how well would you say they set their intent every time they compete?
Hopefully better and better, but for the most part, not at all. Someone was just texting me yesterday. If you're watching on Instagram, I won't use your name, but someone, a very, very, very good player, like a 5.5 player, okay? And they are like at this point, right, where they're like, hey, I keep beating the teams I should, keep losing to the teams I don't. And they reference one team they keep losing to. I'm like, okay, well, you play this team repeatedly. What's your plan? What's your goal? What's your intent going in? And they said, well, play aggressive, and which is great, right? That is an overarching theme, okay? So, but within that, that could mean so many different things. So like, it goes so much deeper than just like play aggressive. Like, what does aggressive mean? Where are their spots? Who handles the aggression better? At what times does it make sense to be aggressive? At what times does it not, right? And I guarantee the next time this person plays that team, they're going to be so much more targeted in terms of their intent, and I guarantee they will have so much more success.
You know, Zach, I see some of the same things in some of the comments. Although on Instagram, I did see one person wrote that their intent was to not get body bagged. Well played. But there's also quite a few people in the. Zach, could you mute one time just to kill that noise? Thanks. There was multiple people here that said to win, to do the best I could, to hold my own, to win, to play well. And I think there's some other ones as well. But I do want to highlight the, I think, specificity.
Exactly. And so I would just, if I may, give feedback to these intents. To win and to play well and to hold your own, that's not what we're talking about.
That's an outcome.
That's an outcome. That's not intent. And so if that is where you're at, what a wonderful opportunity both here on this webinar to adjust your intent. Remove your intent to win. Eliminate your intent to hold your own, which is really just a status play. Remove your intent, like any sort of an outcome intent. It actually leads to poor performance. It actually leads to a lack of improvement. And that's one of the most common things that holds people back from improving, is always just focusing on outcome. Zach's smiling as well, and I don't know why, but it's probably because he agrees with me, which is Zach usually agrees with me, right, Zach? He's now nodding for those of you on Instagram.
Someone on Instagram is asking basketball-related questions. That's why I was smiling, but I also agree with you.
Oh, I did invite some of my basketball coaches that I coach into this thing. Okay, hold all basketball coaching questions till the end, please. Okay, so feedback number one for your intent. And someone said 0 out of 10 is my intent. Feedback number one: be specific and make it something that you're 100% in control of. Right, so your intent should be something you're in control of. Okay, so now I had a very similar experience, Zach. My mixed partner today, shout out, great player, great partner. Before one of our matches, I asked them, okay, what are you focused on this game, or what's your intent? And she said, I'm going to be aggressive. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And she said, I don't know. Right? So it's like you must be specific, and that's where coaching comes in, or this thing like you have to narrow your intent. So 3 steps to narrow your intent. Here it is. Here's your first tool. Everyone, it's very, very simple, but not easy. Write it, speak it, remind it. So you heard Kyle talking about, like, he actually writes out his intent before going in, whether it be play rec or play a competitive tournament game. Write it down. If you're not writing it down, then I don't think it's real for you. Write it down. There's power in writing it down. Write it down. When you write it down, you see just aggressive, you can be like, oh, that lacks specificity, which will prompt you to write more. The process of writing more helps you organize your thoughts. It takes it deeper and builds more neurological connections, and it's more likely you'll remember to actually do it in the match. Write it. 2, speak it. That's what I attempted to do with my partner earlier. Kyle was telling me stories about his match today, how he was speaking about his intent or helping his partner direct their intent prior to matches. Just speak it to your partner and ask them to verbalize it to you. That's what speak it means. Remind it. In between points, in between games in a match, like remind yourself of it, because we'll easily get distracted with the outcome. We'll easily get distracted with the fact that we lost the last game, or we're embarrassed about our play, or we're not holding our own. Write it, speak it, remind it. Zach, what's going on Instagram?
I think your mixed partner might have just commented.
Come on, what did my mixed partner say?
She said I think that might have been it. She said I was going to poach when you were driving the third shot. I'm only going to speak Spanish now. Oh, it's so good.
There you go. You're making a cameo. There we go.
I don't actually know if that's for sure, but yeah. Well said. I think so. Can you give a quick 1-sentence summary of that one? Then we'll move on to the number 2.
Yeah. Set your intent. Make it clear. Make it controllable. Make it not outcome based. Write it. Speak it. Remind it.
Nice.
Wait, can I ask you a question or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that be aggressive one is probably like one of the most common things people.
I gotta be patient. I gotta be aggressive.
Yeah, like Kyle, could you speak to like a way, let's say as Kyle Kazuda, that pickleball guy, your intent, overarching intent heading into a mixed match or whatever was to be aggressive. Could you go greater into detail about what that might be?
If I was thinking about being aggressive, it would for me it would revolve completely around my movement. It wouldn't revolve around like I got to drive more balls. The more I've learned about my own game or and been coached by others and seen it on film, I've realized that my greatest aggressive play is typically my off-ball movement, right? So let's say my partner is hitting a drop, I'm looking to hunt for some type of a poach. Or shoot, even if I'm the one hitting a drop, I actually play mixed quite a bit better when I hit drops and I follow it in behind versus hitting drives that then get deflected maybe to my partner, then I'm maybe out of the play there. And so I'll just go with just that one, Zach, but I think, actually, let me go with one more. The second one would be to control the kitchen line, looking for more often than not, out of the air attacks at the kitchen. That's a very specific one I look for. Even more specifically, I'm usually looking to set up a backhand flick at the player in front of me. So I know, okay, my movement's one of my great aggressive points. And then secondly, when I'm at the kitchen, I feel very confident in my dinking in order to set up my best offensive attack, which is an out of the air backhand. That's how specific I tend to get when I'm thinking about how do I play more aggressively. Where most people, I think what you're getting at, Zach, is let's play more aggressively. Let's start hitting every drive as hard as we can. And then let's just speed up more balls, which is really confusing a lot because one, just driving more, that is a way to get more aggressive without a doubt. And especially if your skill set supports that, or you're trying to work towards that, I think that's totally fine. Where it can fall at times is when you say, I'm going to get more aggressive, then you start speeding up a lot of bad balls, which would just be off balance balls that are below the height of the net. If you're off balance and you said, I want to be aggressive, you're just putting you and your partner in tough positions. And that's going to become losing pickleball, even with the speed of the game is getting faster. Watch all the top players. The soft game is still a humongous part of the game as a way to set up more aggressive shots while they're on balance.
I think this is worth piggybacking, even though I don't love piggybacking.
I don't think it's worth it.
Tell me afterwards. Zach, I don't trust Kyle. Zach, you tell me afterwards. Everyone on here wants to be a more confident competitor, a more confident pickleball player. Setting your intent actually leads to confidence. So as we heard Kyle talk about his intent, he said many times, I'm a great mover. I'm really good at the kitchen, right? So like he has confidence associated with certain skills. We all do. When you set your intent, you intend to play to your strengths. You intend to play in areas of your greatest confidence, right? When you don't set an intent, you can actually get pulled into things that you're not that confident in, and it can cause doubt. Intent equals confidence as well.
Okay.
Zach, was it worth it?
I mean, all those answers is basically what I was fishing for, so I think it was all well worth it.
So it was worth it because we got to where you were coaching us to go.
No, I just think.
No, I received that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, we're moving on here. All right, guys, I can't keep you guys under control. All right, let's go to the second mindset upgrade. And I always like to think of this as like an iPhone operating system. You know, you constantly upgrade your operating system, and I think that's what we're intending, that's pun intending to do here. Too much?
I didn't get it.
Let me keep going. And so, the second one is actually is around a concept I learned. Tyler used to run basketball camps, and when I was in high school, I got to be around Tyler going to one of these basketball camps. And basketball is my main sport, and so I got to experience this concept of mistake response very early. And as Tyler explained this so long ago, I'm gonna explain it for you now, but you explained it to me the first time. One, mistakes are inevitable. And I think a big problem that we all experience, myself included, all of us on this call, is that we let oftentimes one mistake become two, become three, become four, become a paddle throw, right? And we're so frustrated, but it all came from one missed drop that you probably, something out of your control may have happened, or you just didn't swing the ball well, or it hit a rock. Or the ball was a little deformed, although S1 Selkirk balls don't deform and they have a 1-year money-back guarantee.
Use code INF, that guy.
But I think what I've learned over time, and I learned from Tyler, is to have a set pre-prepared mistake response. And the one that Tyler gave me so long ago when I was at this basketball camp was, they called it a 2-clap mistake response, and our hands were free playing basketball. And so you make a mistake, and what oftentimes happens is players will do this big 1-clap anger clap, right? So you out there, you pass the ball into the stands, and you're like, ah, right? And you're like, ah, frustrated. And then the anger sits in your body. And what's that Chinese proverb about anger sitting in your body? Dang, I thought you had that.
Go ahead, Zach.
Okay. All right. And so, anyway, the mistake response that Tyler suggested was a 2-clap mistake response, which was basically like get one out for anger. Because obviously, anger is a big part, emotion's a big part of the game. If you make mistakes, I'm not saying you shouldn't get angry. All of us are probably going to often while we're playing. And so, the first clap is for your anger, but then the second clap would be for what's about to happen next, right? First clap's for anger, second clap's for what's going to happen next. In fact, when I play pickleball, a lot of times I catch myself just 2-clapping on my paddle, just because it's been such a habit over time. But I think maybe Ty, talk a little bit about why it's so important to develop maybe some type of physical trigger, something you can physically do to move on, and then also talk about a mental, whether it's like self-talk or something that can go on.
First off, you did an excellent job explaining that.
Well, you taught it to me.
I mean,
so
you taught it better than I've ever said it. That's amazing.
Say that one more
That's
time.
amazing. So let's have everybody just kind of drop in the chat, whatever chat you're in. Like, if you think back to your angry response or your common reaction when you or your partner make a mistake, like just drop in, what is it? You know, like I usually like slap my thigh quite hard.
Actually, yours is like you raise your left hand and you're like holding a tray of things. And
yeah, it's like, what is this? What is this crap? It's usually after I miss a serve.
Yeah, that's
most common. So that is mine. It's like So interestingly enough, and to your point, most of us have a physical reaction when things go badly, and the quickest way to move on psychologically is to move on physically, right? It's much harder to change your mental state than your physical state, but often a drastic change in our physical state can then trigger a change in our mental state. Think cold plunging, which Kyle does often and I do rarely, right?
Never.
Well, I mean, I splash cold water upon myself, right? But like, okay, you're feeling a little groggy, you're feeling a little bit, tired. You go and hop in that cold plunge physically, and it changes your mental state very, very quickly. It's the same thing with a physical mistake response, right? A reaction is negative, a response is planned in advance and is positive, right? You have a reaction to some sort of medicine and you break out in hives, that's bad. You respond to the treatment and that's good. And so we want to plan a response in advance, because if we don't, we'll just react and it will always be negative, the reaction, and it will lead to greater and greater mistakes. So what is going to be your physical mistake response? Kyle's is 2 claps with his paddle. Mine has kind of been this, move forward. Like I just picture my finger like cutting through anything that's going on right now onto the next play like that. I did that 7 or 8 times this morning. Zach, do you have Zach tends to just talk trash to the opponent.
Zach's mistake response is get very, very cantankerous at the opponent.
Is that right, Zach, or is there another one that we should know of?
I have no idea what that word means that Kyle said, but yeah, you guys are joking, but also you guys are serious, right? But the purpose for me is to direct my negative energy elsewhere. I don't want that, in here. I have to put it on someone else. Sorry if you're on the other side of the net, but it's truly how I deal with it.
And ideally on the other team, not your partner.
Ideally.
Unless you're playing with Tyler.
Whenever Kyle plays with me, his mistake response is to blame me, actually.
It's not a blame. It's just a fact. But I think in closing of this one, my encouragement for you watching would be to think about one physical cue and one, it could be a verbal, like some type of self-talk. And I think my favorite one growing up, I just heard Coach K, who was my favorite Duke basketball I loved growing up. Coach K always talked about this concept of next play. And I heard him give it in some like keynote speeches on YouTube one time. He said, next play. I always teach my guys, when there is a mistake, acknowledge the mistake, move on, next play, because there's nothing we can do about it. That's obvious. We all know this. But the helpfulness of having the physical plus the verbal thing is such a helpful way. I say next play all the time, especially in tournaments. Next play, got to move on, because we don't want to bring it back one mistake to compound, because we've all seen others, and probably ourselves at some point, spiral out of control and you end up walking off the court and you don't know how you just lost so badly, but it wasn't anything to do with your skill set. It was everything to do with your mistake response.
Yeah. And when you have a great mistake response, you become a great partner, one that you just love to play with. I got to give a shout out to Trevor Mechik, who I played with in the U.S. Open. Like, whenever he made a mistake, his response was, "Pick me up, Tyler, pick me up." It was like so positive, and like we had such like a wonderful experience, ended up winning gold down at the U.S. Open because of just like we made mistakes, but we bounced back from mistakes so much better than our opponents. And having a great partner can do that. So shout out Trevor.
Yeah, cool. And so we're gonna share the third one, the third mindset upgrade, which truthfully might be the one that's helped me the most over time. But before we do that, and for those who have maybe just joined, I mentioned this at the very beginning. We run this thing called That Pickleball School, which is an online school. It's for people who are really obsessed with the game, want to learn strategy. I'm about to sell you something right now. I want to just tell you about it because we've been working really hard at this. This is 3 things that you can do. We're talking about on this workshop, but what we've been working on for the last month is what we're calling the 21-day mindset reset. And so it's 21 days. We're going to tell you exactly what to do. There's one daily video that's teaching from me. There's one daily challenge, an exercise that you'll do every single day for 21 days. And our intent is that it can be done in less than 10 minutes a day. And the other intent is that you go through it with a group and you have the accountability of others, the encouragement of others, but you actually spend a short period of time, 3 weeks, on something that most of us spend no time on. Do you add anything to that?
No.
Cool. And Tyler's in here right now. You can see this. This is inside of That Pickleball School. And I'll just tell you this right now. If you're not a member of That Pickleball School, it's going to be $79. It starts on July 7th. If you are a monthly member, it's going to be $40. And if you're an annual member inside, it's free, along with all the other challenges that we will do. And there's one other challenge that we have done up to this point. And so for those inside That Pickleball School, we're going to make a post tomorrow and with more specifics on it. And then for those who are not in That Pickleball School, we're also going to send you an email tomorrow morning to make it super simple. But you can respond to that email you get and ask us any questions. But the intent is that after 3 weeks, you'll spiral less, you'll be more confident in your game, you'll trust your game more, and also you'll just have tools that you can use. I think that's one of the things a lot of people, they don't have the tools to use when they go on court. And so when something starts to happen and they spiral, your mind shuts off. You go into a black hole. And our intent is that you wouldn't have that happen, and you'll be way more confident in your game after going through these 21 days.
Yeah. I just turned it on in the classroom, so any of our current members, you can actually go and register for the 21-day mindset reset right now. You go and click it. Any of our annual members, you already got it. We'll populate it. It'll start July 7th. Any of you that are not current members, you can head to thatpickleballschool.com. When you do sign up for the mindset reset, you get everything we got. You get all of our courses, you get all of our community training and posts, our weekly drill videos, support from the coaches, all that stuff. We'll drop it in. And this is how you're actually going to win things. It's a first, second, and third prize right now. First prize is going to be an Eris paddle. The first person that registers for and signs up for the mindset reset gets an Eris paddle. The second person gets a match breakdown from Zach, and the last person gets 9 That Pickleball grips. I can see the order that you purchase. If you are a current member, you can go into the classroom right now and purchase. And if you are not a member, go to thatpickleballschool.com. You can join and sign up for it, and the first 3 are going to get those prizes.
One question someone said: if you go from be a monthly member to an annual, is it free?
Yes. Yes. So if you're currently a monthly member, just upgrade to annual. No additional cost. I mean, we're trying to make it just an absolute no-brainer for you to spend a year with us. We think it's going to be the best year in pickleball you've ever had. You get the pattern recognition library. You get 50% off all of our in-person events. You get all of our challenges for free as well. And when you upgrade to annual, you also get a match breakdown. So it really is a no-brainer.
Cool. Awesome. Again, you'll get an email.
Whoa! Someone just won something. I'll find out who it is.
Someone just then you can find out. We can.
Yeah.
All right. So let's again. There'll be an email coming out tomorrow morning. If you are on the webinar, you'll get that email. If you're on Instagram and you're like, what's going on right here? Just shoot me a DM and I'll check it out there.
I need to click out it. I'll find out later. I
Okay.
don't want to guess, but it looks like, okay, I don't want to call
Yeah,
the
it
name.
does
I don't want to be
yeah.
wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I'm going to find
If
it.
you won the giveaway,
Oh, shoot. Hang on. My fault. And we're good.
okay. Back on?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, nice. If you want it, we'll reach out to you
Yeah.
via email or satellites. Okay, let's go to number three. Number three, I think this is just one that gets overlooked. It's kind of like you often stretch before you. Well, some of us do. You stretch before. Looking at you. Before
I'm
you.
doing better.
You're doing good. You often stretch before you go on court. But I've learned over time that it might actually be more important that you stretch after you finish playing instead of just getting in your car and bending your muscles and allowing the soreness to kick in. And so it's similar in this. I think most people will play a game, and when they get into their car afterwards, I think we all start to replay what just happened in our game. But the intent right now is that you'll learn maybe a better way to form what you think about rather than just the spiraling thoughts of how many drops you just missed or how many serves didn't go exactly where you wanted them to go. And so, Tyler, if you want to walk through the three-part framework for what you can do after you're done playing that takes, 2 to 5 minutes,
Yeah.
tell them.
Cool. And then Zach, I'll have you give an example of one of these. And then Kyle, you'll give an example of one. And then I'll give an example of the last one. So we call this a post-mortem. A post-mortem would be like after it's done, most of us just walk away evaluating our match or our experience the same way that we entered it. Like if our intent was to hold our own, we'll walk away and be like, did we hold our own? Yes or no? And that's all we get out of it. Or if your intent was to win, you might be like, oh, did I win or not? And then you walk away from it, which really shortchanges the learning process. Whereas if you have this format for your debrief or your post-mortem or your black light, your autopsy, you'll probably get way more out of the experience, and it will help you recognize that every one of your competitive experiences is just data. It's not an identity, right? It's not I am good or I am bad. It's just this is more data for me to then adjust my intent for the next time. And so the data that we use here, I'm just going to scroll up here real quick, is subtract, multiply, and add. And for those of you that don't like math, I apologize. We got some other words here that you can use. Subtract, multiply, and add. So the first postmortem, and Zach, I'm actually going to throw this one to you, is like, okay, as I look at this match, what do I need to remove or eliminate or do less of? What didn't work that I tried, and I need to subtract this a little bit from my game? So, Zach, what would be one example with all the players that you coach, both virtually and in person, of a common thing that you've coached people into removing or doing less of in their game, knowing that it depends, Zach, and it's different for everybody?
A
Laughing
common
because we know what Zach's going to say.
removing from the game. Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, the easiest, lowest hanging fruit is just like when you're off balance, doing something crazy versus taking a shot or making a decision that gets you back on balance. And that sounds like something that happens at like a 3-0 level, but it's not. It's like even at, I'll use Will as an example since he's on Instagram and he's commented, right? Even at Will Schaefer's level, who's in this call, he's a super high level player, super good player, very skilled. Sometimes because he's so skilled, when he finds himself a little off balance, right, he tends to go for a shot that he can hit that most people can't hit, right? When Will just changes that 1% decision, Will goes from a 5-5 player to a 6-0 player, right? So it's not just something that happens at the 3-0 level or 3-5 level or 4-0 level. This goes all the way up to the 6-0 plus level.
Yeah, that's good. And so like, okay, and how do you debrief it? Well, you get better at debriefing and recognizing these things the more you do it, just like with any skill. You know, if you don't have the habit of debriefing, it's gonna be really hard for the first time. You're gonna be like, oh man, I have no idea what I'm supposed to remove, no idea what I'm supposed to subtract. That's where film, comes in, like watching your own film, or finding a coach who has an expert eye like Zach, like Kyle, that can help you out. Okay, the second one is the second one's multiply, and multiply means like keep doing it and multiply it and do it more. Like this is a superpower of mine. This is a strength. I need to find a way to get in this pattern more. I need to find a way to do this more. I need to find a way to get in this situation more. What do I want to keep doing and even multiply and do more? Kyle, what might be an example of that? A common example, either for yourself or students.
To keep doing more.
Yeah, like I got to keep doing this, and I got to even do it more.
Well, I think if I go back to my initial example of the movement in the kitchen work I was talking about earlier, I often feel like I haven't moved enough until I've like the term would be been beaten behind me, and so like I'm trying to go poach a ball or something, but if I haven't moved enough times where they can beat me down the line because I'm in the middle of the court, then I think that's what I often think about. And so when I'm often, like even today, I was like, did I move enough? My intent was to move, but did I move enough? And the answer is typically no. I think I could have moved even more. And sometimes for me, that comes down to just fitness, conditioning, but that would be mine.
Perfect. And I'll go quickly through this last one because our examples aren't really that important. What's important is that you actually establish a practice after the match. A really common one, Michael Jordan actually was asked how long he would think about a game after a bad performance. Zach is an ex-basketball star. And he's an ex-basketball star. Zach, I don't know if you've ever heard this story. Do you have a guess, Zach, what Michael Jordan's answer was when he was asked like how long he spent thinking about a bad performance after a game?
He's never had a bad performance.
Fair enough. But I think, I mean, he had to have one. He got cut from his JV team.
I don't know what the answer would be. My guess would be one extreme or the other, either forever or for 5 seconds.
Yeah. So his answer was this. He said 10 minutes and I wash it off in the shower. He's like, I spend 10 minutes after performance, thinking about what I can change, and then I wash it off in the shower. Now, of course, he could probably, just like LeBron James can remember every moment of every play as data. But as far as like dwelling on it, so I think we can take two things away from one of the greatest of all time. One, he gave himself a moment, 10 minutes to debrief and actually think about the data, to take it in so he can change. But he didn't let it define him and didn't just keep replaying his bad shots. He's like, let's perform the autopsy and move on. So the last part of your autopsy is this, like, okay, what do you need to start doing? What do you need to add, right? You subtract something, I gotta multiply this, and let me actually add or start doing this a little bit more. And a lot of times we can learn that from our opponents and from our partners. As we look around, we steal like an artist to kind of build our game. But the greatest value of the postmortem isn't what we add, subtract, or multiply. The greatest value is to start to look at our experiences as data and not defining of who we are. And that's what builds an unshakable mindset. One person in the chat here said, oh, I debrief after every single shot. That's not healthy, right? It's not healthy to actually like in the moment be like, oh, that's bad. Oh, this, because there's so much emotion and meaning tied to each shot, right? There's not meaning in the shot. The shot just happened. We give it meaning. Instead, if we can just give ourselves this post-mortem time to learn from it and move on, I think we'll all be more confident, we'll perform better, and be a lot happier.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's really good. We'll close there, and we're actually going to send out a replay of this tomorrow as well, but we'll do a quick recap. The first one was just around prior to going, narrowing what your intent is. The second one was having a mistake response, a verbal and a physical cue. And then the third one was just this concept of post-mortem. And again, those are just three things. You can just start doing one of them immediately. We should all be doing the mistake response one, I think, every time we play. And that's just a small surface level of what's going to come in the 21-day mindset reset. It starts July 7th, but registration is open right now. Really excited about it. We're putting the finishing touches on it. Again, you're going to get one daily video every single day with a teaching. There's some Ted Lasso in there as well. I don't know if you knew that, Zach. And then and there's going to be a daily challenge or exercise to do. And so you'll get an email with more details tomorrow. It's going to live inside thatpickleballschool.com. If you didn't get a question answered on here,
Go to thatpickleballschool.com, answer the question in the community.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Like, I think this is part of why we built that pickleball school. You know, with the size of the audience that Kyle has grown, he gets so many questions, requests, and for coaching and comments and questions. And he does his best. He does a great job. It's like, man, how can we actually provide thoughtful answers? We can do it in that pickleball school. So if you do have one that didn't get answered, go into the school, ask it. Zach, Kyle, our team will definitely get it answered.
Yeah.
Also, 3 prize winners will be in touch to get you your prizes. The first 3 people that purchased the Mindset Reset course will win, or people that upgraded to access it annually will win. So that's how you can qualify for it, and we'll be in touch with you.
Awesome.
Zach?
He's got nothing.
I was trying to think of a Ted Lasso line, but I've never seen it.
What?
Hey, here's one. Believe.
Y'all believe now.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
for joining. Are we still on?
We are now out.